Welcome to Red-tastic. Story 1. I know this probably wasn't my proudest moment, but am I the a-hole for this? My husband and I had to move 6 months ago. We have a newborn, and I just got off maternity leave. In that time, our toddler broke his leg and couldn't be taken care of at daycare because of it. So I had to take unpaid leave from work. Between moving expenses and that, we've been very, very short the last few months. Husband pays his ex child support. She married a rich guy after they got divorced, and she doesn't work anymore. She works part-time at an art gallery and part-time unpaid at a dog rescue now. My stepdaughters are 10, 13, and 16. Their stepfather doesn't have any kids and spoils the shit out of them. Literally, he bought a car to be used by her for the 16-year-old's birthday, and the 13-year-old is going to Portugal for a school trip this summer, all on his dime. I know for a fact the child support just goes into a college fund for them. I literally had to pawn an old iPhone so our 7-year-old didn't miss a class field trip because we couldn't pay. My husband hasn't been able to support me because of all this shit in 6 months. I get it. It's bad and I'm not making excuses. Well, without even telling us, his ex filed with the court saying he's not paying. He called her and she didn't pick up, then she called back and he had run out to his car. I answered it and I'll admit I lost it a bit. I asked her how another mother could be so selfish when she knew we were in a rough patch. That it's unfair her child support is so much when she's choosing not to work. That's why he owes so much. And eventually said she's a heartless bitch. She said he still needs to support his daughters even though he's having kids he clearly can't afford, then hung up. Dear husband was mad at me but has calmed down and said I was just being mama bear, and now he's pissed his ex said that about our kids. I'm just worried it will hurt him in court if she brings up that we had a fight. Am I the a-hole? Edit. We talked to her at first but weren't specific enough about when we would repay or how long we would be without paying. And I know that is 100% our fault. My husband got tense with her because he was stressed and sleep deprived. And I guess maybe that's why she didn't call us back to check in. But I'm still pissed she would go to court rather than talk to us, especially when it's not like the money is needed right this minute. You're the a-hole, OP. I understand that things are hard for you and your family, but your husband's ex-wife wasn't in the wrong for going to court about child support, especially if your husband hasn't been paying and you guys didn't reach out to explain to her why. She's a mother too. She's looking out for her kids. Even if she's now married to a rich husband and she doesn't need child support, that doesn't absolve your husband of his right to pay it. They're still his kids, and you have to understand that. Now for some comments. My husband has been breaking the law for the last 6 months by deliberately failing to pay child support. So I verbally abused the mother of his children over the phone for doing what she is legally supposed to do in response to his bad decisions. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. If he can't make his support payments, he needs to take it up with the court. Leave his ex-wife alone. You're the a-hole. Your husband owes her a boatload of legally obligated money and you're pissed off at her because she wants to collect? Maybe you should have been nicer. He could have called her periodically, thanking her for her patience and assuring her that she would be paid back. It's not her job to chase him for the money he owes. A judge is an impartial third party and you are pissed off that an impartial person is involved. If that money is going into a college fund, not that we know either way, OP is an incredibly unreliable narrator. Quite frankly, I'm glad. Their dad is such a deadbeat, we all know there is no way he is putting aside a single cent for their future. Their stepdad is going above and beyond to provide for them. He got a 16-year-old a car, for F's sake. That is saving you money for sure. Yet you only seem to resent his generosity. You are a terrible, selfish, resentful person, OP. And yeah, you shouldn't have kids you can't afford. A bit of advice: apologize, then shut up. Unless you want lawyer fees on top of the back child support. You're the a-hole. Story 2. My husband has a herniated disc and a bad knee. He is in pain often. has had to get multiple nerve blocks, etc. When he hurts, he is pretty much laid out for the day. Also, he is using so much Aleve that it is causing chronic gastritis and other health issues. The problem I have is that he continues to run. The doctors and I have told him to find a different form of exercise, as it just exacerbates the injuries. He refuses. He will run, then not be able to get off the couch for 2 days, which leaves me having to be his nurse and maid. I've had to take time off work to care for him and take him to various appointments. He can't do anything around the house, which leaves me to do all the childcare, cooking, cleaning, etc. But as soon as he feels remotely better, he goes for a 3 to 4 mile jog. He works from home on his computer, so he does work, but so do I. We finally had a blowout fight about it. I told him I wasn't going to continue to care for him if he continued to defy medical advice. I can't be the maid and sole caregiver to a man in his 40s when these exacerbations can be avoided. He says I'm being selfish and not caring. If this were something he couldn't control, or if he followed the doctor's advice, of course I would take care of him. For better or worse, right? But I'm fed up. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, OP. It sounds like he has a running addiction. If you want to stay together, you should insist on marriage counseling at the minimum. He's being selfish and obsessive. He might need an outside observer to help him see how his behaviors are hurting you. In the meantime, take advantage of some of his good days and take a day or 2 away from the house. You deserve it, and it might help him get some perspective on what he is making you sacrifice when you have the full load plus him to care for. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. He's being really irresponsible. I completely support the whole for better or for worse concept. But while that entails looking after someone when they're injured, it does not entail repeatedly looking after someone when they repeatedly, conscientiously injure themselves. There are also loads of other exercises he could do that would be good for him, like swimming or just walking. Hi, 43 with autoimmune arthritis here. The bit about wanting to feel normal is very valid. I chose to dance at a friend's wedding knowing that it would cost me a week of lying in bed because I just wanted to be the old me for an hour. So I get that. I also get your side though, and it doesn't seem like he does. Maybe sit him down and acknowledge that you understand that running is his link to normal, but that it needs to be balanced with things like ordinary family life, so that you and your children also have a link to normal. I'm currently going through this with my husband. He has an addictive personality and is running himself into the ground, literally. His health has suffered since starting running, but he still signs up for every run he sees and has started living this double life with his running group, acting like a teenager and spending money we don't have to keep up with his lifestyle. I have tried and tried to help him, but he doesn't want help. He has abandoned his family at critical times, including leaving us to deal with a Category 5 hurricane by ourselves, so he could leave the state to go to a running group party. I can't help him if he won't accept it, so for now, I'm done trying. Story 3. A little background. My husband was married prior to our marriage and lost his wife to cancer. This was about 7 years ago. We got married about a year ago, if that matters at all. My husband has his late wife's ashes on this display in the living room. It's honestly a little much and makes me feel weird looking at it all the time, but I try to be understanding. I asked if he could move it to his office so I wouldn't have to look at it, but he refused, and that was that. Well, the other day I was cleaning and bumped the table the urn is on with the vacuum, and I accidentally knocked the urn off. Luckily the urn didn't break, but it did spill the ashes everywhere. I rescued what I could, but still lost about half of them. I vacuumed up the rest. I put flour at the bottom of the urn, then covered it up with the salvaged ashes so it still looked like it was at the same level inside the urn if he opened it and looked for whatever reason. I didn't tell him this because I didn't want to upset him, but my not-so-smart self emptied the vacuum out in our kitchen garbage can and forgot to throw it out in the dumpster before he got home. Well, when he got home, he went to throw something away and saw all the ashes in the garbage. This completely stunned him, as he made the association almost immediately as what ashes they were once. He saw my reaction to the reaction he made. He made the comment, "I can't believe you've just thrown my dead wife away in the garbage can." But I insisted it wasn't that serious and I still saved a decent amount of them. Then he found out that I mixed them with flour and got even more upset. I got upset for him yelling at me and made the comment that it shouldn't have been on display in the living room for your new wife to have to look at all the time in the first place, and maybe wouldn't have gotten knocked over if he put it in his office like I asked. He won't even look at me or talk to me. I said it was a mistake, but he won't accept my apology because I tried to cover it up. So am I the a-hole? Now for some comments. You're the a-hole. The accident was beyond your control, but everything you did after that was seriously wrong. You should have owned up to your husband, and you definitely should have given him the option of what to do with the spilled ashes. And you definitely should not have tainted the remaining ashes in the urn with flour. You're the a-hole for turning this around and trying to blame him for something you did. It was an accident, granted, but you decided to lie to him about it, then whine about how upsetting the ashes were in the first place. Then blame him for getting them knocked over. I believe it was an accident, but you sure do know how to make it sound like it wasn't. This is not going to be solved with a simple apology. You need to earn his trust again, and you're not going to do that by playing a victim. You're the a-hole. You should have immediately tried to call him and ask him what he wanted to do. You could have easily emptied the vacuum before sucking up her ashes and set aside the ashes you vacuumed up. It was never your place to decide they were garbage. And it was never something you should have hidden from her husband. Yes, her husband. If you really can't deal with his past and what it means to his present, you should get out before it rots you.